one constant feeling reigns over the 130-plus year history of NC State Wolfpack football. Hope. And when there's hope, well, Pack fans can always relate. Pack family, time for a true look at your team. Expert analysis, special guests, and a Carter Finley-sized bag full of X's and O's. Let's get hooked up for Pack Therapy. Here are your hosts, Tim Donnelly and Wolfpack great Mike Glennon.
Welcome back into another edition of Pack Therapy. We are now with an NC State legend. Actually, I get to be on with a couple of NC State legends. My co-host, Mike Glennon, longtime NFL quarterback as well, and Nyheim Hines joining the show. As I said, longtime NC State legend and also a longtime NFLer, running back. Nyheim, thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you, man. It's an honor. And shoot, anytime a guy like Mike, asks to come on, you got to come on. So thanks for having me on, Tim.
He's been my guy, Tim. You know how in the all season I always come back a little bit Raleigh. So I would always need guys to run routes for me, and typically running backs aren't that guy. But Nyheim is as close to a receiver that plays running. He's really a receiver that plays running back. So we spent lots of time together in the cold months and in the hot summer months throwing together up at the practice fields and indoor facility.
It's probably because you have so much in common athletically, right? He was.
Yeah.
Man, look, y'all know I'm a longtime NC State fan, man. Even like Mike Glennon, they're like, "Who is Mike Glennon?" I'm like, "Dude, that's the last time NC State beat somebody number one." So just being a guy from Raleigh, and shoot, really, honestly speaking, like in Raleigh, we've had guys go to the NFL or not, but really, Mike's like the first NFL quarterback that even like when we were in college, when I was in college, still, Mike would come back and throw to me with the NFL ball, and I'm like, okay. So I got to see Mike, see his timing, how precise he was to know where I need to be. A lot of schools don't just have an NFL guy, first rounder, or somebody of Mike's caliber just coming back every year. So I tried to make the most of it. And then I got to the NFL and I got to know Mike a little bit more. We just kept working. So it's been really an honor and pleasure to get to know Mike.
Tim, I know you're trying to do an intro, but just a quick story. I remember the summer I signed in Chicago. I think Nyheim was in his junior year. And I brought Kevin White, receiver from Chicago, to the practice fields. And I called up Torrey Holt. And I was like, hey, Torrey, Kevin White's in town. You want to come work out with us and kind of like show him the ropes? And a bunch of NC State guys like saw us doing it, but Nyheim was the only guy to stick around for like all 2 hours, and he was just soaking up everything Torrey had to say. And I was like, man, this is pretty awesome that this guy is really a running back, is trying to learn everything he can about playing receiver. So I still remember that, just a small little thing, but I think that shows why Nyheim's had kind of the career that he has had.
And you mentioned I was trying to do an intro. I mean, I was going to hype you up with all these stats and first team all ACC and the catches in the NFL and the kick returns. But I mean, I think that's the nicest thing you could hear about somebody is kind of the dedication to the craft. So we'll just let that rock and jump into the conversation. Normally I like to start these things by like bringing up a joke. I was considering, going straight 40 times at the combine, you versus Mike, but I think like Wolfpack fans that tune into this, the first thing they want to hear before we get to the fun and the laughs is how the rehab's coming, how your legs feeling, and how all that's going. So we'll start with the serious, then we'll get to the fun. How's rehab?
Rehab's it's been a grind. I've been out in Los Angeles with Dr. Elatrash, have several other NFL guys. Honestly, it's been a grind. Been going 6 days a week, 3 or 4 hours the past 3 months, and it's just been. I'm getting better. I can say one thing: I don't wish knee surgery on anybody, and any person who's had the ACL and came back from it. Salute to them, because the first month is tough. Most pain I've ever been in my life, but I have some great people around me, a great team, great family that checks in on me, even Mike and some other people, and a lot of people who know me have checked in, and it's been great. But I was under the weather and real upset about things that happened, but it's getting better now. And the goal now is to come back to Buffalo next year for 2024. My contract's up, and try to prove that I'm ready and get a third contract. As all of us NFL guys are, we're just fighting for that next contract.
And before we got on, you mentioned guys like Aaron Rodgers, J.K. Dobbins. There's a group of NFL guys out there. But the one that obviously sparks my interest is Aaron Rodgers. What's that like to be around a guy like that every day? I don't need you being NFL insider Ian Rappaport, but I mean, it's pretty remarkable to see what he's doing. Yep. What has that been like to see firsthand him come back from that injury?
Well, one, I will say he was throwing the football like a couple of days ago, and I finally caught a pass from Aaron Rodgers. So, as a fan of football, that's just cool within itself. But really, truthfully, Aaron being 40, he really brings a lot, like 39 or 40. I don't know his exact age. Him being that age and like bringing the juice every day is great because, like there's multiple people with Achilles injuries, and he's farther along, probably weeks ahead. Just seeing him like throwing and dropping back, 2 months after surgery is crazy to me. And I remember like just seeing like stuff on Instagram, like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is walking around that shoe after 2 weeks. And I literally would just see him walk by and I'm like, oh, wow, like this is crazy. So one thing I can really say is through tough times, it's great to have other people like who are in your shoes, who know what it's like. And also just there's other athletes in there too. I've met a lot of, there's track guys, basketball players. It just depends on who it is. But Dr. Elatrosh is one of the best in the business. So everybody comes out here. But it has really been a pleasure to just be around Aaron. A lot of the guys, we come in there at the same time and work hard. So it's great.
You're in, so that's out in California, right?
Yes.
ACC country. That's what we call it now.
Man, is it Stanford and who is it? Stanford and Cal? Stanford and Cal.
Stanford, Cal.
The ACC? Oh, yep. I hate it for the ACC, but I mean, when you have Duke, Stanford, it just makes sense. And what, SMU, right? SMU's coming?
SMU in Texas, yep.
Man, why couldn't these schools get there when I was there?
Well, you're staying up on it as a player. Like, would you be excited? Because I feel like state, right? And there's you're going across the state this weekend. Duke and UNC are playing. You have like this cool little regional, everything's a rivalry. Would you be down to like, go take a trip to Texas or California a couple times a year?
You know what? Absolutely. That's what I think I've even said this to Mike before about playing at NC State during my time. When I was there, Coach Doran, we were still getting our feet. And my last year, that's when things kind of took off. But I even said that, like, when I was playing, I wish, like, NC State's played at West Virginia in the past few years, Texas Tech, even at Miami. Like, they played so many out-of-conference games that I wish I played. Like, I wish I went out to California and just got to see different parts of the country and play different, divisions. I didn't get to play a Big 12 school, a Big 10 school. I don't think I played a Big 10 or Big 12 school my whole time there. So, just as being a football fan and a person who's always kept up with football, I would love to go play a Big 12 school, Big 10 school, and, go across the Mississippi. And when you go across the Mississippi, Mike knows this, when you go across the Mississippi and you were at NC State, the block guys, they think you're Stanford. So, it would be cool just to go out there and get our name out there and just play and have the opportunity to show the world what we're about nationally.
Well, maybe if you weren't Mr. 3 and Out, you could have played some more games at NC State and not got to the NFL so soon.
Man, Mike, look, not everybody can be a quarterback, man. It's hard out here being a running back.
No, you're set up perfectly. Those scat backs in the NFL last longer than about anyone, and you got in at such a young age, you're going to have such a long career. But, you talk about hard times, and last year I actually saw you a week after it happened when I was with the Dolphins who go to Buffalo, but 2 weeks before was when Damar Hamlin had the incident in Cincinnati. Then the week after, New England comes into town. You return what will become one of the most infamous kickoffs, make it 2, in NFL history. I mean, this is going to be shown for decades to come. What was going through your mind as you were running down the field? Did it feel like divine intervention?
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I would do anything to have that moment back. It wasn't even real. Just as soon as I broke outside, I really knew I was gone. I could hear the crowd, and it was just like it blanked out. Mike, you understand? It's like there's some days you're just in a groove. It's like things just go right. And it was just when that first one went by, the previous game actually, we had the same type of return, but the backside guy tackled me. So when I was playing it the second time, I knew what could be possible, and it really hit just like it did the first time. If you go back and watch the first game, I get tripped up and probably tackled on the 20. But if I don't get tripped up on that play in New England on Thursday night, that might be a touchdown too. So it was really cool to, see it. And then, football, if you see the opportunity, once you get to see it again, you got to cash in on it because it may not come back. And then really the second return was even crazier because we really drew it up in the dirt. Coach Smiley, our special teams coordinator, really just had a great idea. I told the guys I would try to set it up to make it look like the first return, and we went back the other way. And guys blocked great for me. Those guys in Buffalo have been blocking their butts off for me since I got there. They were excited. They had the special teams guys when I got there were like the first people to ask me, like, are you returning this week? And as soon as I said, yeah, those guys had great energy and been great vibes ever since then. So I've honestly, it sucks I'm not playing this year, but I am honestly honored to be in Buffalo and get back there and help us win.
But part of the reason why that was so iconic is because of the way the previous game ended. I can't first of all, I don't know what it's like to return a kick at all in the NFL, but to then go to the sideline and like there's tears in the eyes of your teammates and like everybody, it's so moved emotionally. How do you go from that to playing football? And obviously you did, because you returned another kick for a touchdown.
You know what? It was for me, it was a very humbling experience. I'm a new guy there. I've probably been there 3 weeks. So to have, the opportunity just to put a spark in there means the world. And obviously I'm getting closer with my guys, but like when in times of hard need, when you can step up, that's one way that fans will remember you. And even being in Buffalo now, like I'm still remembered from it. And really just being an outsider, really, even though I'm a part of the family, I was really an outsider. And it's really cool just to be brought in the family like that and have such a positive manner. But, going into the game, I really didn't think much of it. It was just when I got out there, it just happened. And my goal after that was to see if I could do it again and just take it as far as we can take it, because, we were struggling a lot offensively this day. And then really just having that energy, I think that helped us with our whole special teams rankings. And that was one thing I saw when I got to Buffalo. I think we were probably bottom 5 special teams. And that's something where I knew, like, hey, our offense is a little bit complicated. Maybe I don't get as many snaps as I want, but how can I impact this team in a positive manner with what I'm given? And that's really the goal. I don't know where we finish special teams. I'd like to think it's top 5, but that was really one of my goals, getting to Buffalo.
And flipping to the NC State side of things, big news this week, MJ Morris decides to redshirt. You try to look at it through his lens, put yourself in his shoes, and you can see why, maybe him and his family are making this decision to get an extra year. But no one knows what the future holds of whether he'll be at NC State or not. Still 3 games left in the season. Slim chance, but there is a mathematically a chance to get to the ACC championship. How do you think you would feel if you were inside that locker room, something like that happened?
Man, you know what? Being inside that locker room, I feel like a lot of guys or his friends know the exact reason. We don't know what happens behind closed doors in the locker room or between the coaches or the players. So I try not to get into it too much, because I understand how the coaches are and how the players are. But it does suck to see MJ out. That's my guy. I remember he actually one of the running backs in Indy. I met him because they're both from Atlanta, Georgia, or from the Georgia area, the Atlanta metro area. So seeing him grow up, my boy told me about him before he got there. He was like, hey, we got a brother, MJ Morris, who might be good. So been following him since then. But I don't really know. And actually, I talked to you guys about it before. I actually saw it on ESPN probably like when I woke up this morning. Couldn't even believe it. But one thing I will say is offensively, we just got to play better, because Lord have mercy, our defense is remarkable. And like I saw Emeka Emezie put out a tweet that if nobody wears 11, he doesn't want anybody to wear 11, and I'm down for that. Peyton Wilson has been, Lord have mercy, he's been one of the brightest stars at NC State and one of the best gyms at NC State of any players in Coach Doran's time. What he's done on that defense.
Were you teammates with Peyton Wilson?
I actually helped him. I helped recruit him. Him and Drake, I was with both of them on their official visit, so I got to meet him more early, and I got to see a little bit of his film when he was at Orange. But Lord have mercy, how it is when you watch a high school kid, you can see how it can be good, and I saw how Peyton can be good. But Lord have mercy, he's been amazing. So really got to shout out him and that defense. The defense has been playing well. Coach Gibson's got it dialed up, figured out, and when offense is struggling, the defense has been picking it up. But as offensive guys, Mike, we just got to be better and just find ways to execute.
When you look at someone like Peyton, who I completely agree with you is a monster, but he's been in college for essentially like 2 of your careers. You look at Brennan Armstrong with this is his 6th year. That's 2 times. Like, how do you even comprehend somebody being there just so much longer than you were, and the experience you would have gained? Right, you were in your 3rd year in the league when some of these guys are still seniors in high school or seniors in college.
I mean, shoot, I was good friends with Thayer Thomas. Thayer Thomas was there for 6 years, and I was told, dude, Thayer played with me, and Thayer just left last year, so it's crazy. But what I will say is, with Peyton's had several injuries and things like that, and when we play college football, our goal is to get to league. Even if you're here 5 or 6 years, it's just like in college, you got to take that accounting class or that hard class you got to take. It's what it takes to get to the NFL. If you got to I'd be in college 6 years if I knew I had opportunity. I would have doubled my years to get there. No, if it was I would have said NC State 2 more years if I could go in the first round. Not gonna lie to you. So it's about the fit, but it's also about what you're willing to do. And Peyton, some guys it just takes longer. Some guys may not have the opportunity to play early. So it just depends on everybody's circumstance. But Peyton I hope Peyton stays healthy the rest of this year and just finishes out well.
So kind of mixing those two last questions, right? The MJ Morris stuff with what you were just describing is like everybody's goal is to get to the league. How do you mend those ideas of, right? I mean, we've all played football, right? It's the ultimate team game. You sacrifice for your teammates, team first, team always, team only, but also like MJ's got to look out for him, or like, hey, my motivation is to get me to the league. It's not to get us to the league. How does that play out in a locker room where you mentioned we don't know the whole story, but you've been in a lot of locker rooms?
Oh man, it's tough. And then with the NIL too, like even now, like we're hearing stuff we've never heard before, like guys like Caleb Williams or like let's say Shador Sanders making so much money they'll literally just stay back and play another year. So that's really, I think all that within itself is crazy. But I do think the whole NIL thing, once we figure out everything, makes things better as soon as we can find a way to level the playing field out with all the schools, specifically for NC State. But honestly, like you said, college is hard because really, in high school, you obviously teams do and you have recruits, but really in college, it really comes down, especially if you're a certain player, you have certain injuries or certain things, you really have to make a business decision. And it's like that in the NFL too. So I think really the best thing about the NIL is kids are having to, like, I guess they have their parents around, but at the age of 18, 19, 20, they're making NFL decisions how we would based on money. So I think hopefully just with that whole essence of the NIL deal, it makes, kids out of college smarter than I was coming out and having to hear my agent and deal with business or deal with money opportunities for the first time at 21 years old. I'm in the NFL. These kids are doing what I was doing, getting endorsements at 18. So hopefully they learn the game and they can be a lot better than I was coming to the NFL, and hopefully have millions and more dollars and people like myself and the guys before the CBA. The rookie minimum now is like 900, 800,000. Lord have mercy, it wasn't even half of that when I was there.
Well, I think that's the top guys, the Caleb Williams, the Shador Sanders, the Arch Mannings are making millions. But I think what you said is the right way of looking at it. Is this was a business decision by MJ, and in the past, it typically hasn't been. Because of NIL not being in existence, it wasn't really framed that way. And I think that's why maybe someone like you and myself are more numb to this, because we see people making business decisions
coaches
all
do
the time, whether it's holding out or coaches leaving. There's just so much more of that at the NFL. Now, this is unique because he's doing it in the middle of the season. He's basically
never seen
out
this
in the middle
in
of
my
the
life
season versus during training camp. But I think him and his family decided from a business standpoint this was the right thing for them. Whether that's the right decision, I don't know. I guess we'll probably never will know because we don't know how much money these guys are making.
But the only time will tell. We hope, his family, both his parents in his life, and it's cool to see them making a decision as a family. So as long as that's one thing I always said, I was talking to my dad and my mom and my sister about it. If they're all on board with it and we were all on the same page, we can get through anything. So I hope they have that type of camaraderie and they're together on the decision.
So let me switch gears here to somebody who I think the NC State collectives and the name, image, and likeness people better be raising some money for. Casey Concepcion, who you are somebody that can uniquely look at his situation because they need to get this guy the ball and they don't really care how they do it, which means he's catching passes, he's lining up in the backfield, they got him on jet sweeps, they're getting him the ball all kinds of different ways. What are the challenges of that for a freshman as somebody that comes in with, the track star speed and everything that you bring to the table? I have to imagine you've had every different type of play drawn up to get you the ball. What are the challenges to have that kind of role in the offense as a freshman?
Well, I mean, it's probably cool for him having that opportunity. He's so young. I mean, and even Mike will say this, NC State, we're not really that creative a school. We're really, downhill, ground and pound. We're not doing all the crazy jet motions and stuff. So it's been really cool to see some of the creative things we've done because it doesn't really do that. We've always had a great O-line, great quarterback play. So we really are real more pro style. We run the spread, but we have a lot of pro style aspects to our game. So for him to see him the jet sweeps, but it's really cool. It's like Jay Sam in a way. Just get that man the ball and he'll figure it out. And that's been really great. And we just got to keep playing off of that. He's made some plays, and we just need other people around him to step up. We have a great recruiting class coming in the next few years from what I've seen, but he's been playing well. And as a freshman, it's amazing. He's done way more than I did as a freshman. So kudos to him. And really, he's a playmaker. Hopefully he can leave in 2 years, maybe. Who knows? But I think we'll hear his name called really soon in the NFL draft with how he's playing, and hopefully he has great health and stays healthy.
And I think you also are probably a unique standpoint in that you played both receiver and running back at NC State, which he lines up, he's mainly a receiver, but they line him up in the backfield. When you got to NC State, you were a receiver or running back?
I was a receiver.
So what was that transition like to the running back position?
It was cool. So like even with KC, first off with him, he's doing a lot of things that I did. And for me to do what I do, I have to learn the whole offense. So first off, what people are missing is that man probably is learning a lot of the running back stuff. He's probably learned the offense just as good as a quarterback now to get the ball. So kudos to him for being as smart as he is. And then personally for me, it's just, like seeing all the creativity and being able to go in and out of the backfield and have those sort of intricacies within our game. It's making NC State different. Like I'm seeing them do plays with those guys at Clemson and guys with skill people who are elite like that. So it's really good just to have KC around and just see that and just see offensive coordinator and everybody get behind it, because he's a spark plug, man. And it takes one play. And he's had a lot of those one plays to even get us going when the offense is struggling.
It's interesting to hear you kind of say, what you think NC State has been, and hey, we're good up front. We have these quarterbacks, and then we're more straightforward.
And things have changed.
And
we're not running the ball at all this year. We're not running the ball at all at all this year. That's normally a strength for us.
I don't think that's for lack of trying at times. But Dave Doran, with this most recent win, just became the all-time winningest coach in NC State history. With him being your guy, you mentioned you were there for kind of when things were getting rolling with Coach Doran. Are you surprised to see him be flexible and kind of embrace something new when, for the bulk of his tenure, it's been like, hey, we're going to be this style of football team, and now they're changing it up, at least on offense?
Oh, no, it doesn't surprise me. Coach Doran's a blue-collar man. When you walk into the state, you see the blue-collar quote that he did from 2016 when we beat Carolina. So he believes that, as any blue-collar man, he's going to do what it takes to win. And one thing Coach Doran has really been big on is, trying to figure out the new generation. He talks to the older guys about all the time, how to help out with the new generation, the new player, because, these kids are born in, 2003. So it's a lot different than myself, who was born in 96. I promise there's a huge difference between myself. I can even see it from the freshman coming in my junior year, the kids were different. But I think it's really cool with him, have stout defense and just be creative. He's starting to see a lot of everybody in college has a guy like KC or big receivers like Mike Williams at Clemson that put him in space. And that's really the name of the game now. It's not really a 4-3 game now. Everybody has a nickel in, runs a 4-2-5, and name of the game is getting the guy on the ground in space. And it's like that in the NFL too. So it's kind of cool to see a transition, but we knew Coach Doran would do that to try to, make sure that we stay on with everybody else.
First of all, do not make the born in 1996 the old group. Just don't do that.
I'm telling you, my junior year, when the freshmen start coming in, and I came back in 2018 and saw the new class, it's like those kids born after 2000 are different. I'm sorry.
There's a guy, Bradley Rosner, on the team that I think is 1 year younger than you. He's transfer from Rice. He's in his 8th year. Yep. He's one recruiting class younger than you.
Actually, yeah. Where were you compared to Miles Sanders?
I'm older than him. I think me and Miles and I are the same age, maybe, but I came out a year after him. I came out a year before him, but I'm pretty sure I think Miles and I came out the same high school year.
Then I'm pretty sure you and Rosner might be in the same class.
Oh my goodness! When I go back, I need to read him. Look, that's probably the most experienced, smartest guy in that locker room. He's probably been through a lot, and 8 years.
He's the same. I know he's the same class as Dwayne Haskins, so you might be able to use that one. He was the same recruiting class as.
I might be a year. I'm a year or two older than Dwayne, I believe.
Okay,
but I guess how has he been there? Medical hardships, COVID,
JUCO, COVID, medical,
all of it.
I don't know. I wanted to say.
Hey, we talked about this earlier. I don't hate on them at all. We all live in the same team. Everybody takes a little bit. Everybody has a different route to get there. So
I think everyone wants to go back to college again.
Oh man, me
speaking
too.
of which, you got the chance to play with some other NC State quarterbacks in the NFL, Phillip Rivers and Jacoby Brissett. Give us a story or two on what it was like playing with both of those guys for the Colts.
Okay, so Jacoby was really cool because, my life came full circle. Jacoby was my first quarterback in college, so to play with him again was amazing. Laughed and joked with him. We always talked about NC State. It was actually a really cool time when all three of us were together because after Phillip and Jacoby left Indy, I have not been in a locker room with the NC State guys since. So That's been cool. I think the coolest thing I can say about Philip is like Mike, I grew up watching Philip, and Philip was the first quarterback I remember. So I love Philip. And when he got to Indy, I always loved him. Obviously, I didn't fangirl him, but I'm a big fan of him, his his family and stuff. But the coolest thing I think for myself for Philip was one, he didn't cuss. So all the stories are crazy. Great trash talker, but never cussed. And actually, I caught his first touchdown as a Colt. So I'll never forget. Actually, we went to Jacksonville our first game in 2020, and we lost there. And I haven't.
I was there.
Yeah,
I won one of the year, baby.
Oh my gosh!
Thanks for not letting us go over. I remember that little screen.
Yep, the screen. And actually, the coolest thing was I got to give Philip the ball after the game, just to tell him, "Hey, happy you're a Colt." So that was cool. And then Jacoby had so many laughs and jokes throughout the year. He was really like the class clown when we were outside of football. So he'd be the first guy to laugh and joke. Like when you're around Jacoby, you got to make sure your stuff is right. Like if your shirt's too tight or something like that, he'll definitely pick on you about it. So like Jacoby always made you sharpen up and he was a funny guy.
This obviously is Pack Therapy. We focus on state, but I'm going to steal you for like 2 minutes here. I also host the afternoon show on 99.9, and everyone is looking for optimism when it comes to Frank Reich and the Panthers. Frank Reich, obviously, your coach with Indy. Give some reason for some optimism. Why is he the guy to go through the struggles and kind of coax Bryce Young through the early parts of his career?
Well, first off, as a guy in AFC, I can be a Panthers fan, so that's great. So I watch the Panthers. I follow the Panthers all the time. It's been cool to see Frank there. I think one thing about Frank is you got to be patient. Things happen. The Panthers have been rebuilding. We've had a lot of people come in and out, like even losing Christian McCaffrey was probably huge for them. And they're having sort of a culture change. So I think one thing about Frank is patient. Frank is a player's coach. So one thing about Frank is he's going to listen to his guys and his players. And that's one reason you should really love him, because one thing about Frank is he's going to do what it takes. He's going to use the science, the technology, and the logic behind it to have the team ready to go, have the team as relaxed, as recovered as they can be, and as healthy. So I think Frank's a really, really good guy. He always has a great staff around him, and I know those guys in Carolina probably like the strength staff and everybody around there, because I think Frank will rebuild it. He did it with us. We started out 1-5, and we made it to the playoffs and won a game. So and lost in the divisional round to the Chiefs. So I know if anybody could do anything like that again or just turn things around, I know Frank's definitely capable of doing it.
I did this. So before we go, I just want to make sure we give you your props due. I know we ran through the intro in a different way, but Gardner, North Carolina native, 1,100 rushing yards plus 12 touchdowns his junior year, first team all ACC before we talked about it, heading off to the league. I want to give some track props. 10.34 in the 100-meter dash, third in the ACC outdoor championships, which is bananas, and a whole bunch of indoor and 200.
Had a good time out there running track, man. It was fun.
We'll just we'll 10.34 is flying. The fastest running back at the 2018 Combine with a 4.38.40, which goes to
I should have ran faster. Oh man,
should have ran faster than 4.38. You're disappointed in a 4.38?
Yeah, it's like the slowest laser time I ever ran in my life. So actually, the crazy thing with the Combine is actually I tweaked my hamstring before it. So I guess my hamstring was good, but then I guess it wasn't good because I tweaked it and I pulled my hamstring like the end of during OTA. So maybe it was that, but I was honestly honored just to do that. And even I remember when I was about to leave, Coach Doran was asking me about the testing and all those things and how he felt I would do. And I looked him dead in the eyes confidently and said I would be the fastest running back in this class. So it was cool. It was cool to have Coach Doran's blessing too. I left early at a time where a lot of guys hadn't done it at NC State, and I talked to Coach Doran about it. He told me what I could have my senior year, but he also told me he understood. And I've had some friends who go other places and they leave 3 years, and the coaches aren't really excited about it. But the fact that Coach Doran, I was a big part of that team. I left early, and he still comes. I still text him, and they welcome me back with open arms. Just amazing.
Well, in that case, Coach Doran and the boys have Wake this weekend, Virginia Tech on the road the next, and then North Carolina 24 in the college football playoff rankings at home. How do you see him ending the season? How do you see him closing it out?
Well, I got to ask Mike a question. Mike, was it hard for y'all against Wake Forest? I feel like NC State it doesn't matter how good or bad either team is. Wake Forest is a hard game. That and Boston
College.
We're
running out of time, and that was going to be my next question to you because everyone wants to know why we always lose to Wake Forest, particularly when we go to Winston-Salem. I was going to ask if you had the solution. I don't know.
I don't. I played there once and we won with Jacoby. My next year we lost. I think it's a matchup thing. I think maybe it's just I don't know. I think throughout time has been a matchup issue. I don't know what it is about Wake Forest or even Boston. Like even when I was in NC State, we struggled with Boston College too. So it's just Wake Forest. People would think this is like an easy game, but this game will be just as hard as a Carolina game almost. And obviously, we have Virginia Tech on the road. I would love for us to win there, just because personally, I've only played there once, and they did the whole keychain thing, and it was really cool. Obviously, to be a fan, but it's not cool when you're losing by like 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and everybody telling you to get out. And then, actually, I think I'll be back home for the Carolina game. I haven't been to an NC State game in 4 years, maybe. So, really excited. It seems like every year Carolina has a really, really good team, and they're going to be we're normally the underdog. That's when we win. So, I'm excited about that. I've been talking about trash to Carolina. It's been great not to wear any Carolina stuff because every year we lose, I have to wear Carolina stuff in the locker room. So, I think we can close out all 3 of these games. I think is Brennan Armstrong going to be the quarterback going forward?
Yep. He's taking it back over.
He's taking it back over. I mean, shoot, hopefully the line protects him. He can make plays. He finds a will. I like him a lot because he has a dog in him. He's like Josh Allen in the way. He gets it by any means necessary. He's going to run, scratch, and claw to get there. But we can win. We can really win all 3 of them. But it's really all depending on, I think, especially this week with the MJ news, is how we start now. Because we could really come out and if we lay against Wake Forest, we may not have any momentum. So it's really going to be big to really just get a good win after the whole MJ stuff because we don't know what's going on in the locker room, just to get a win and move on from that and, get these 2 games out the way before, obviously there's a really, really big game too. And all of them will be big for us because we have 3 losses. We can go to a big bowl game. That's really hopefully what the guys are playing for, going somewhere nice that I didn't get to go to. I went to Charlotte, Shreveport, and El Paso. So I hope they get to go win out and go to like Florida or California or somewhere nice.
Nyheim, we appreciate you for taking the time. This is one of our longer interviews, but you had some pretty good stories. So hopefully we're able to do this again. Good luck with the rehab. I know all Wolfpack fans are pulling for you to get back and as healthy as you need to be to get that 3rd contract you were talking about. So we appreciate it and good luck.
Thank you guys, and it's a pleasure having me on. Thank you.